Hi guys, welcome to Tuesday afternoon kitchen talks. Every Tuesday, 3 o'clock, we have a different health subject for about 10-15 minutes. I hope you enjoyed last week's banana bread. I hope you made that a little bit healthier. So today I would like to welcome for a nutrition questions and answers, weight loss, all your health and well-being questions. I would like to introduce a friend and colleague of mine, Dr Tom Butler from Chester University. Say hello, Tom.
Hi everybody, nice to kind of see everybody, so to speak.
So the way we're going to run it out today is we've had some questions sent in, a couple from our general public of Warrington, some from our Fit to Tackle. I know Tom's done a little bit of work on Fit to Tackle with us. And if you're interested in coming onto the Fit to Tackle programme, hopefully when we get back to normal, have a look on the Livewire website. It's a 12-week course around exercise and nutrition, hopefully to kickstart your long-term weight loss. So we've got 6 questions sent in today, Tom. So we'll answer in between us. If anyone doesn't know Tom's lecturer at Chester University, and you deliver the dietitian course. Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, so I'm the program lead for the BSc degree in nutrition and dietetics at University of Chester. Kind of figuring out what's going on with my lighting at the moment. It's a little bit all over the place, but anyway, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay.
Right. So question 1 was sent in from Rachel from Warrington. Well, everyone's from Warrington, so
all the best people.
Struggling to lose weight and easiest way to lose weight. I get confused with lots of questions. Should I be reducing carbohydrates? Should I be joining the slimming club? I've tried all these diets as well. I think personally, from a lifestyle advisor's point of view, is looking them long-term manageable changes is probably the easiest way. I would probably look at, it's all about creating a bit of a calorie deficit. So obviously consuming less calories and your body needs, but we've got to think long term rather than short-term fixes. What do you think on that, Tom?
No, I agree, and I think this is there's no kind of right or wrong way to lose weight, and there are lots of different ways you can do it, and the key thing is sort of sticking to a way which works for you. Some people find that actually cutting out carbohydrate works quite effectively for lowering weight, and in many ways by cutting out a lot of carbohydrate you create that calorie deficit, which helps kind of burn through some of your body fat. But other people cut calories from fat, and that also has a similar effect. It's kind of about what you can sustain, and as long as you can sustain and create that calorie deficit, then that will help with weight loss. One of the best bits of advice that you can do is, whilst you're creating that calorie deficit, start to sort of ramp up your physical activity as well, because exercise alone isn't necessarily fantastic for kind of regulating weight, and one of the downsides of exercise can actually be stimulating appetite. So it's kind of really important that we're aware of this. But exercise combined with really good nutritious sort of foods will help in terms of controlling body weight as well. Cutting a bit of carbohydrates, so refined carbohydrates, white breads, white pasta, simple starches, these kind of things, cut those back and replace with more kind of whole grain, or even don't replace at all, depending on how much you eat in the first place.
I think generally one of the patients I've seen over the years is everyone generally eats really healthily, just generally eat too much. And I think if we look at portion size, I mean, if you think somebody who has, say, a bowl of pasta for the tea, do they need to eat a bowl of pasta? Let's get half of that plate full of vegetables. Let's look at this protein, and then your tennis ball, computer mouth size of your whole grain, your low GI. Well, low GI is how much energy it takes to burn. So slow release energy rather than your wide variety of things. What burns it doesn't really fill you up as well, does it?
Yeah. And I think the portion size is a really good point. So if you can kind of name drop the British Heart Foundation in this, a couple of years ago, they did a really nice review of portion sizes of various foods you can buy in the supermarket. And things like bagels, muffins have all increased in size. So if you are buying things like bagels or whatever, then you are actually consuming more per portion than you were doing, let's say 10, 15 years ago. So our portion sizes that we eat are actually increasing. And of course, we haven't evolved to need more food. If anything, we probably need less food now than we did a couple of, 10 so years ago, because we're not as active anymore during our day-to-day life. So yeah, portion size is a key thing. And thinking about why we eat. A lot of people at this time I know are worried about family, friends, jobs. It's really stressful. And people turn to food when they're stressed. And I think it's being aware of that. And it's difficult because we find a release in certain types of food. If you have a sweet tooth or you're more of a savory kind of guy, you go to breads or sweets. But it's about remembering why we need to eat, and we really need to eat when we're hungry. So it's about listening to the body, listening to our hunger cues. And if we aren't feeling hungry, then really try not to eat something and only sort of eat when we're hungry. We have this habit of having breakfast, snack, lunch, or dinner, where you're from, snack, and then your tea in the evening, and then supper. But you might not actually be hungry at lunchtime. So if you're not hungry at lunch, then maybe don't have a huge meal or don't have anything to eat until later afternoon. It's all very personable. It's all very specific to the individuals, but it ultimately relies on you knowing how your body works and listening to the hunger cues that you're getting.
Yeah. So answer to that, Rach. So we've got to create a calorie deficit. Maybe look at portion size as well. Increase maybe a lower calorie vegetables. Listen to your body. One thing I used to say to a lot of my patients was, every little change you make, you think to yourself,
Yes.
I maintain this for the rest of my life. Smaller the change, the better. So British Heart Foundation's really good. Change for Life, NHS Weight Loss, there's some really good information on there as well. So hopefully, what we also do when we get back to normal as well, we're Livewire runs some weight management sessions. You can come to some free weighing clinics. You can have a couple of one-to-ones with lowest nutritionist, and you can also come on a 12-week course as well. So we think about long-term weight loss. We don't need to be going on this yo-yo effective diet. So focus on stuff. So question 2 comes from Dave from Warrington again. What foods are best to boost immunity? Is there anything I can eat to reduce my risk of catching COVID-19?
This is a really topical question for obvious reasons, okay? And the British Dietetic Association, the BDA, have put out some really good advice about food, supplements, and the immune function. Put very, very simply, because of the way the immune system works, there isn't anything you can eat that will boost your immune system per se, okay? In terms of picking up or avoiding COVID-19 infections, the best advice at the moment is obviously hygiene, so washing hands and isolating and trying to minimize contact with people. There isn't actually at the moment anything produced by the European Food Safety Authority, or EFSA. There isn't any particular food or food component that actually is protective against infection. So, and EFSA is a kind of a really big body that regulates claims against foods and supplements. So there isn't anything that's really authorized to say it prevents against infection. But there are some really important micronutrients, so vitamins and minerals, that actually are really important for our immune system to work normally. And we normally get these through a kind of a healthy, balanced diet anyway. So it's about making sure the foods that we do eat contain these particular nutrients. So things like folate that you find in leafy green vegetables, iron that you find in animal proteins as well, selenium and zinc, things in nuts, but also things like vitamins A, B6, B12, vitamin C, which you find in fruits and vegetables, as well as vitamin D. And we are starting to get into the months where the sun is just getting to the point where it's a little bit high enough in the sky to start making vitamin D naturally in our skin. But there are some dietary sources, things like oily fish, for example, are a good source of vitamin D. But getting out in the sun is better. And at the moment, with lockdown, we aren't getting out perhaps enough as we should. There is potentially something in taking a vitamin D supplement. Okay, just to get our vitamin D status to a kind of a normal level, because we aren't really going out in the sun, and we might not be going out in the sun for the foreseeable future, unfortunately.
Yeah, so basically just eating healthy Mediterranean.
Healthy? No. I didn't say that. You said that. But no, a healthy diet that includes plenty of sort of fruits, vegetables, good quality sources of protein as well for the iron and the micronutrients. That will help support your immune system. There isn't anything per se that is going to stop you catching it, but staying healthy, keeping, following good hygiene practices. When you come home from doing your shopping, wash your hands, leave your shoes at the door, that kind of stuff. Just the basic things will work against that. There isn't some sort of magic pill you're going to be able to take that will stop you getting an infection. A lot of it boils down to common sense and just being safe.
Okay, cool. So next one is from Denise. Okay, she's trying to lose weight. She always feels hungry all the time, and what foods can make you feel fuller for longer, and where can I get some information from to lose weight? So generally, one of the question is, obviously, are you restricting calories too much? If you are hungry all the time as well, we want to be creating that small little deficit. We do know protein and fibre fill you up for longer. So maybe looking at your protein source and making sure you're getting plenty of good protein. It's really good for keeping muscle mass if you still were just looking to lose body fat. Anything on that, Tom?
No, I think the key thing with if you're trying to lose weight, what we don't want to lose is actual muscle tissue as well. And if you're creating that calorie deficit, it is actually very easy to start to burn through muscle tissue. Also, having a decent amount of protein in your diet is actually quite useful for that point of view in terms of helping preserve some muscle loss, or preventing muscle loss. But equally, protein, there's some evidence that suggests that it can kind of have a sort of a stimulating fullness or satiety effect as well. Foods that are quite fibrous, quite dense, so things like vegetables, lean protein soups as well, so really good thick soups can also be quite handy because they can sit in the stomach for a little bit longer. And you can make obviously soups at home now if you're not going out much. Blend a load of veg up, going to be low in calories, really rich in those micronutrients that I mentioned before, and will be useful from a sort of a calorie point of view too for weight loss.
Very good, yeah. Like I said, I think if you're hungry all the time as well, just making sure look at how many calories you're having, because generally weight loss is about calories in, calories out. But obviously, if you're eating all your calories from maybe sugar or white variety of things, they're not really going to fill you up for very long as well. So obviously, going back to your fibrous, your vegetables, your protein, making sure you're staying hydrated as well, making sure you're drinking plenty of water as well. Make sure that deficit is not too big. Like I said, smaller deficit, better long term. You'll succeed with it as well. Best information to get weight loss from, like we said, Livewire website's really, really good. British Heart Foundation, Change for Life, NHS, Public Health, all them really good resources. Or Livewire weight management service is free, and that's all off for Jubilee Pike. It's a free weighing clinic, so there's loads of support. Next one, no name on this one. What exercise is best for weight loss? There's not really any exercise best for weight loss. We like to encourage people to do lots of strengthening. So we like to keep muscle strength as much as we can. Exercise is it's a good way of creating a bigger calorie deficit. Obviously, the more you go out for a walk, you might burn 100, 200 calories. That'll chip away as well. What you do find sometimes, though, some people who do more exercise, they tend to get more hungry. So they find it harder to keep that deficit sometimes. What I wouldn't probably rely on, I'll probably look at your nutrition rather than your exercise as a for weight loss. Because if you think about in 1 pound of fat, we normally say about 3,500 calories ish. When I go for a run, I burn about 100 calories a mile. So you don't really to burn a pound of fat off. I've got a long way to run. So use it as more of a complement your weight loss, and more of it as think about your health benefits. What I would try and focus more on is if you come to Livewire gyms as well, maybe speak to some of the personal trainers who are really good at designing some strength programs to keep good muscle mass. Some of the exercise classes. So if you're stuck at home as well, use your tins of beans, make some homemade weights as well. Have a look on your Livewire Facebook page. There's some really good videos as well, what me and my colleagues have put together. So have a look at them as well. Last one then. I don't like vegetables. Should I be taking supplements? So what do you think of that, Tom?
Well, I'd sort of, there's lots of vegetables. So to say I don't like all veg is, huge thing. So it might be that you don't like certain types. Obviously, we can't ask that question. We don't know the details. Okay. Um, it might be the way you've cooked them. So I know people who say absolutely hate carrots, and you say, well, okay, what is it about them? Oh, I just boil them all the time. And you think boiled veg is boring. It might be changing the way you actually cook the vegetables that's different. So roasting things, we quite often have roast broccoli with a little bit of lemon and salt on top. It tastes amazing, much better than having simply boiled broccoli. So try not to give up and explore a little bit when it comes to different cooking methods with veg, different oils, different dressings, seasonings, spices. All these things can take your what you might think is boring veg and that kind of jazz it up a little bit. You can put it in things. So you can, if you're having stews, chilies, these kind of things, bury vegetables away in there so you won't taste it. If you've tried all of that and you are still saying, I hate all veg, then yeah, having like a sort of vitamin supplement might actually be quite useful as well, because by not having any vegetables in your diet whatsoever, even the non-starchy things like cauliflower, broccoli, kale, these kind of things, you're still going to be losing out on some really important nutrients as well. So yeah, in that instance, if you aren't having any vegetables, then I would perhaps consider taking some sort of multivitamin as well. It's not going to do any harm in the current situation when people are changing their diets and because of the not going out as much. So yeah, I think in that situation, I would consider a good quality multivitamin as well.
Fantastic, yeah.
But don't give up on the veg. Just try the cooking and try the different methods and explore and see which works.
I'm pretty guilty just boiling the life out my
veg. It just ruins them. There's so much, like, lots of asparagus is something. We found quite a nice supermarket that does asparagus quite cheap. So I'm not going to name names. But we've lots of people just boil asparagus, but we sort of like grill it in a pan with some salt and lemon, and it's absolutely amazing. And we do that kind of with a lot of our vegetables that we have. So broccoli is really nice that way as well. If you've got a bit of fish, you've cooked some salmon in a pan, slice your broccoli really, really thin, like wafers, maybe like 1/2 centimeter thick, and then put it in the pan with the salmon with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, pepper, and then just as it's done, little drizzle of lemon juice, and it tastes absolutely amazing. And it tastes so different to boiled broccoli.
Yeah. And like any listeners out there, guys, as well, if you're worried about getting out for shopping, frozen veg is a fantastic option.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Even tin veg, tin fruit as well, just making sure getting its own juices rather than the syrup side of things as well. I tend to use frozen veg most of the time. When you mix
frozen peas. Frozen peas. I mean, when I was a kid, we always had frozen peas in the freezer, but because I'd normally bang my head being outside or something. But frozen peas are fantastic. So obviously they're convenient. Whack them out the freezer, put them in a bit of boiling water or in a stir fry or curry or whatever you want, and easy peasy.
Or even obviously making your chilies are really good. You can use it last a couple of days of food as well. One thing, when all the supermarkets went crazy and the shelves suddenly emptied, guess what was the thing? What was left? Tin mackerel.
Well, you know what? Actually, it's really interesting because, and on this note as well, when we first started going out and looking at what was there, the food wise, all in terms of the meat aisles, all the meat was just decimated, but the things that were left was things like kidney and lamb's liver and things like that, and it's a lot cheaper. And I think one of the things I've realized and it's become more apparent is that we tend to eat a very sort of limited range of products that we actually get in the supermarket. A lot of people, when they go out and think about buying meat, go for, let's say, sort of like skeletal tissue. So it's the muscle tissue, chicken breast, chicken legs, beef steaks. But we don't think about the other types of meat and protein sources that are there. So things like kidneys, liver, these are all really good. And those were the things that were left on the shelf when people had gone through and bought the chicken breast. And there's a lot you can do with those particular foods. There's some really nice recipes you can find online, and they're a heck of a lot cheaper as well. And it's about kind of thinking about the foods we buy. We've started buying whole chickens because actually, if you kind of take the breasts off, the legs, and then you've got the carcass left you can use to make a stock, it's actually better than just buying chicken breasts
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It will last a little bit longer as well.
And it'll last a bit longer as well.
Yeah.
So there's so many little things you can do with your weekly shop to make it go a little bit further. And I think that's really important now, because we don't want to be going out perhaps as much as you were doing before, or we're more concerned about how much you spend on food now as well. So making what we do buy go further, I think, is really, really important and really key.
Yeah,
just kind of takes a bit of the pressure off us for worrying about money as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And stuff like your tins of tomatoes are really cheap.
Yeah.
That's really good for sauce. Tomato-based stuff tends to be less sugary sauces. Say garlic's quite good, lemon sauces, these type of things as well. If anyone is really struggling at home as well, if you go onto the Warrington Borough Council website, we do have a safe and wellbeing team. So if you are struggling to get out for pick your shopping up or your medication or anything like that, please check out the Warrington Borough Council website and the Safe and Wellbeing team. You can fill out a referral form for yourself there if you are struggling to get out. And the volunteer service would access food deliveries, medication deliveries. So please, if you are struggling at home, please have a look on the council website. You might have had a phone call from some of our live wire advisors. We're doing some safe and wellbeing checks over these last few weeks. And so just making sure you are getting food and you're not starving at home. Right, so that was great. So that was our Tuesday. A big thank you to Dr. Tom Butler.
No worries, thanks a lot, Paul. Really appreciated that.
We'll do that again sometime. We might do a follow-up, especially because we're doing some work around cardiac rehab and weight loss. So we need to catch up with that. That was hopefully we get back on top of that when the lockdown ends. So Tuesday afternoon, 3:00 next week, we'll be doing a talk about goal setting and keeping a routine in place. So stay safe, guys. Keep washing your hands, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Paul. See you soon, guys.